Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so you've shared this really detailed market research report with us, all about trolling motors.
That's right.
And our mission today, for you listening, is basically to, well, dig into it. We want to pull out the most important bits, the interesting stuff, so you can get up to speed on this market pretty quickly.
Exactly. We're looking at where the trolling motor market is right now
Hmm.
and where it seems to be heading, especially with, recreational fishing getting more popular and people wanting quieter, more efficient ways to move on the water.
Okay, right. Let's unpack this. So the report starts with the market size now in 2024. It's valued at what, about $614.2 million?
Just about that. And the projection is, well, it's looking to hit $840.6 million by 2032.
Okay, so that's what's the term? CAGR, compound annual growth rate of 4.0%.
Yeah, a TAGR of 4.0%. Now, look, that's not like explosive tech stock growth, but it does point to a pretty stable, attractive market.
Steady growth.
Yeah.
So,
And what's driving it is interesting. It's a mix. Definitely more people fishing for fun. That naturally means more demand for the gear, right?
absolutely. And trolling motors seem key here. The report talks about how precise they let you maneuver and how quiet they are. Super important for anglers, I guess.
Crucial. You don't want to spook the fish.
Who
Plus,
does?
there's that definite shift towards eco-friendly stuff. Electric motors are really gaining ground.
Right, the green angle.
Yeah, people prefer cleaner, more energy-efficient options when they can get them.
Mm.
And the report even gives an example. Back in June 2023, there was this launch of new brushless motors. Better efficiency, longer battery life.
Ah, okay. So that shows where the innovation is heading.
Exactly. It's a concrete example of the trend.
So beyond just the motor itself, what are the big trends shaping things? Sounds like it's getting more complex than just, a motor on a stick.
You're spot on. There's a definite rising demand for battery-operated motors, obviously. Ties into the eco thing we just mentioned. But it's more than that. People want tech, like wireless control, operating it remotely,
Mm.
GPS integration, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I can see that. Less fussing with wires, more focusing on the fishing, right? And sustainability seems like a really strong current underneath all this.
It really is. That move towards electric, even hybrid systems, it's clear.
Yeah.
It's partly consumer demand, but the report also points to government initiatives pushing for greener boating, especially in Europe.
Oh, interesting. Speaking of regions, the report breaks down the market share for 2024. North America's the biggest chunk, 40%.
Yep, 40%, then Europe at 28, and Asia Pacific around 22%.
And why the difference? Just different boating cultures.
Pretty much sums it up. North America, big fishing tradition, lots of smaller boats. Europe, as we said, big focus on eco-friendly tech.
Right.
And Asia Pacific. That growth is linked more to water tourism expanding and just generally more interest in fishing as a hobby.
Gotcha. And it sounds like competition is heating up. Report says by 2025, expect more players, especially focusing on smart motors, lithium batteries.
Yeah, that's a key signal. Shows where the innovation and, frankly, the money is heading. And it really underlines how important those tech features are becoming.
Makes sense.
And another interesting point the report makes, trolling motors are really carving out their niche in electric propulsion for smaller boats.
Oh, really? Gaining ground against other electric options.
Seems so. In 2024, they apparently made up about 55% of the electric propulsion market for small boats. And that's expected to tick up to 57% by 2025.
So for smaller recreational boats, they're becoming the go-to electric choice over other things. Even some gas motors, maybe.
Yeah, it's just a growing preference in that specific segment.
Okay, let's dive a bit deeper into the tech itself then. Lithium batteries, wireless control, autopilot. Sounds pretty advanced for fishing.
It really is changing the experience. Lithium, well, that's key for longer run times and lighter weight. Big deal for users.
Right, weight matters on a small boat.
Definitely. And wireless control just gives anglers so much more freedom to move around the boat. Then you add autopilot, usually linked with GPS.
Yeah, what does that let you do?
Well, it can hold your boat in one spot. Automatically, they call it spot lock, or follow a specific depth contour or a pre-planned route. Frees you up completely to just focus on casting.
Wow, okay. The report mentions some specific brands from 2023 doing cool stuff. Minn Kota, Motor Guide, Garmin.
Exactly. Minn Kota, for instance, pushing those GPS motors with spot lock and built-in sonar.
Mm-hmm.
Motor Guide was expanding their line of wireless foot-controlled motors. Lots of anglers like that hands-free option.
Right.
And Garmin was really integrating everything, mapping autopilot, their fish-finding tech, into one system, more streamlined.
And you mentioned Asia Pacific growing fast. Is there tech adoption driving that?
It seems to be a big part of it. The projection is for them to hit 23% market share by 2025 with a really strong growth rate, a CAGR of 9.2%.
Wow, that is fast.
Yeah, fueled by investment in sustainable tech there, and just that growing interest in getting out on the water.
So, okay, we've seen the trends, the tech.
Uh,
What are the absolute core drivers pushing this market forward?
well, the report lays out a few key ones. Number one is still just the increasing interest in fishing, both casual and competitive. More anglers means more potential customers.
Makes sense. Basic demand.
Right. Then there are the constant improvements in marine tech generally, making these motors better and more appealing. And tied to that is the rising demand specifically for high-performance, energy-efficient options. People want the good stuff.
And the environmental pressure we talked about.
Absolutely. That government push for lower emissions is a direct driver for electric. And the report really highlights why electric works here. Cleaner operation, much better maneuverability at low speeds, way less noise,
Quieter.
and longer run times now with the better batteries.
That GPS integration sounds like a game changer for actual fishing success, not just convenience.
Oh, totally. It's not just knowing where you are. It's about being able to precisely target spots, follow underwater structures, repeat successful drifts. It makes you way more efficient.
And it all feels like part of that bigger trend, doesn't it? Everything getting connected, the Internet of Things reaching onto the boat.
Exactly. The marine industry isn't immune to that desire for smarter, integrated tech.
But it can't all be smooth sailing. Sorry, couldn't resist. What are the roadblocks, the challenges the market faces?
Right. Well, a big one is cost, especially for those really advanced motors with all the GPS smarts. They can be pricey.
Yeah, I bet.
And that's a barrier for people on a tighter budget, maybe particularly in developing markets.
Affordability. What else?
Battery limitations are still, a factor. Battery life, how long it takes to charge, where you can charge, the eventual replacement cost.
Yeah.
That can all make people hesitate, especially for longer trips.
Right, range anxiety, but for boats.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
And let's be real, trolling motors aren't replacing everything.
Yeah.
No, the report makes it clear there's still strong competition from traditional outboard motors. If you need high speed, or for many commercial uses, outboards are still the way to go. Trolling motors have their specific niche.
Okay, so looking forward then, what's on the horizon? The report flagged something specific from Garmin early in 2024.
It did. Garmin's Force Pro trolling motor, highlighted as a key development to watch. It's got an ultra-quiet, brushless motor design.
Brushless, that means more efficient, right?
Generally, yes. Better
Yeah.
efficiency, more power or thrust, less noise, and they've apparently made it compact and lightweight too.
Sound like ticking all the boxes. What else?
Well, it integrates all that advanced GPS stuff, real-time sonar compatibility, wireless control. It's really pushing the envelope. The report kind of suggests this could set a new benchmark for performance, toughness, and intelligent automation.
What's special about the brushless part, technically speaking? Why is that such a step up?
Good question. It's really about the thrust-to-weight ratio. Brushless motors let them get more power, more push, without adding a ton of weight. That's huge for smaller boats.
How?
Well, they use electronics instead of physical brushes to make the motor turn. Less friction means less energy wasted, less wear and tear, so they're more efficient and last longer.
Okay, got it. Beyond that specific motor, any broader tech trends emerging?
Yeah, definitely. AI is starting to creep in. Think AI-driven automation and predictive maintenance.
Like the motor tells you it needs service soon.
Kind of thing, yeah. Self-diagnostics, feedback on battery health, maybe even suggesting optimal routes based on conditions or past fishing success.
Interesting.
And also, more investment seems to be going into wireless charging, dock-based systems, maybe even solar-powered charging options on the boat itself, making it easier and greener to keep topped up.
It really does all seem to fit together, doesn't it? Eco-friendly, digital, smarter. The whole marine industry seems to be moving that way.
Exactly. The trolling motor evolution is definitely part of that much bigger wave transforming how we use boats and interact with the water.
Well, this has been genuinely fascinating, a real deep dive into, well, trolling motors. Let's quickly sum up the key takeaways for everyone listening.
Sure. So we've seen it's a market showing steady growth, right? Projected to go over $840 million by 2032.
Right. Driven largely by that shift to electric and smart tech, GPS, wireless, better batteries becoming much more standard.
We saw those regional variations too. North America leading now, but Asia Pacific growing fastest. Key players like Minn Kota, Motor Guide, Garmin are pushing innovation.
But expect more competition, especially focusing on those smart lithium-powered models.
Exactly. And then there's the future stuff, like that Garmin Force Pro, setting a potential new standard, and these emerging trends like AI and wireless charging.
So yeah, starting from that $614 million valuation in 2024, heading towards $840 million plus. It's definitely not just a tiny niche. There's real momentum and innovation here.
There really is. And maybe that leaves you, the listener, with a final thought. Think about how these advancements in what seems like a pretty specific market might actually mirror broader changes happening in personal transport, in sustainable tech generally.
Mm.
What other specialized areas out there might be poised for similar kinds of innovation, driven by these same desires for efficiency, convenience, and a lighter environmental footprint.